Hello everyone, welcome back to our channel. So good to have you guys back here again. Thank you once again guys for coming out here. We really appreciate you. Yes guys, and as always we've got a very interesting one today. Politicians who made headlines in 2020. We'll bring you all of the details shortly, but guys please don't forget to like, share and to subscribe. Thank you once again. Because of the intrigues that played out during the 2019 general elections, the year 2020, in which some state governorship elections were also held, could be seen as a year of political reconciliations. As a result of these, news gatherers focused on some politicians who stood out either positively or negatively in the reconstruction effort. 1. Adams Oshiomhole. Comrade Adams Oshiomhole, the former national president of the Nigerian Labour Congress, NLC, former governor of Edo State, and former national chairman of the All Progressive Congress, APC, was perhaps the most talked about politician in the first half of 2020. As the then national chairman of the ruling All Progressive Congress, APC, he was at the center of Nigerian politics. Given that his party flag bearer, President Muhammadu Buhari, was sworn in for the second term just in May 2019, it seemed Oshiomhole, who presided over the ruling party, had everything under his control at the dawn of 2020, as he seemed more fortified than the political rivals that dared to challenge him. Notwithstanding the avalanche of disagreement derived from 2019 election complaints, Oshiomhole radiated hope and confidence, composure. His political enemies attributed to the support he got from Mr. President and the topmost national leaders of the party. But it turned out that 2020 became a year the eloquent and hard-fighting former governor of Edo State had to pay for his crimes his political rivals accused him of committing before and during the primary elections preceding the 2019 general elections. To emerge as the national chairman of APC, Oshiomhole reportedly got his bloc support from the 7 governors of the time who saw him as one of their own. Unfortunately, he offended most of the governors then because of the stance he took on the issue of direct or indirect primaries in 2019, a development that allegedly led to their political misfortunes. Some of the governors alleged to have taken offense by the actions, including Rochas Okorocha of Imo State, Abikunle Amoson of Ogun, Abdulaziz Yari of Zamfara State, and to some extent Rotimi Akeredolu of Ondo State. The Nation notes that most of these seemingly unending political battles Oshiomhole fought during the year before his epic fall as the national chairman of APC was understandably attributed to his face-off with the governors and some other political stakeholders. But it will be said that his many battles to keep his job as the national chairman of APC kept him in the news during the year. It will even be more appropriate to say his face-off with his former political son, Governor Godwin Obaseki, and eventually their battle for the political soul of Edo State in 2020 made him the most talked about politician in the year. That Oshiomhole lost Edo to Obaseki not so long after the Court of Appeal affirmed his sack as the national chairman of the All Progressive Congress, APC, even compounded his political tragedy. No wonder news hoods took turn to feast on Comrade Adams Oshiomhole in the year 2020. It remains to be seen if Oshiomhole will regain his political strength in the year 2021 above. Next, Godwin Obaseki. Godwin Obaseki's quest to be re-elected as the governor of Edo State made him very visible in the news in 2020. This is because of the caliber of opposition he faced. The tension peaked when Governor Godwin Obaseki was forced to leave the All Progressive Congress party, which under the supervision of Oshiomhole picked Pastor Osaige Ize-Iyamu as its governorship candidate, when Obaseki also got the governorship ticket of the PDP as at the last minute. The friction caused within the two leading political parties left fears in the hearts of keen observers. So, considering that before the election, Obaseki had fallen out with his former political mentor, Adams Oshiomhole, who had teamed up with his arch-rival, Pastor Ize-Iyamu, to stop his re-election quest, even Obaseki, as the sitting governor, knew that the contest would be an epic battle. Observers and analysts who therefore predicted fire and brimstone in the Edo State governorship election focused on the governor's moves. This kept him in the news all through the period. But at the end of the election, when Obaseki, on the platform of the People's Democratic Party, won the election, he sued for peace. This has, in a way, reduced the fears over Edo State politics. Obaseki, while receiving his certificate of return for a second term, had urged the former national chairman of the All Progressive Congress, APC, Adams Oshiomhole, the gubernatorial candidate of the APC, Osaige Ize-Iyamu, and other members of the APC to join hands with him in his administration to develop the state. How far this peace would last in the coming year remains to be seen. Next, Victor Gideon. Chief Victor Gideon, a former commissioner in Rivers State during Governor Rotimi Akeredolu's tenure, took the center stage of the politics in the ruling All Progressive Congress this year when he dragged the acting national chairmanship seat of the ruling party with a former governor of Oyo State and deputy national chairman of APC South, Abiola Ajimobi, soon after the suspension of Comrade Adams Oshiomhole as the national chairman of the party. As at the time, Gideon was the party's deputy national secretary, who was in 2019 appointed by the National Working Committee of APC to serve until Yobe State nominates a replacement for the former national secretary, Mai Mala Birni, who has been elected the governor of Yobe State. The behind-the-scene intrigues that threw up Gideon at this point draws from the fact that until his dramatic ouster, Oshiomhole's overbearing influence had helped to contain the internal crisis that threatened to extinguish the ruling party under his chairmanship. But as soon as he was removed, a major leadership crisis erupted. Gideon and Ajimobi, who belonged to different camps in the party, contested for the leadership of the party. While Ajimobi was announced as the acting national chairman through a statement by the party's national publicity secretary, Lanre Onilu, Gideon declared himself the acting national chairman, quoting the March 16 Federal High Court ruling that suspended Oshiomhole and ordered him to take over in acting capacity. Until the emergence of the Mai Mala Birni-led caretaker committee currently overseeing the APC, what followed was counter-legal rulings, even as a Rivers State High Court in Port Harcourt, presided over by Justice Florence Fabesima, granted an order of perpetual injunction restraining Gideon from parading himself as a member of the National Working Committee of the party. As APC looks forward to emerging a more united family after a national convention that would elect new leadership, it remains to be seen the role Gideon will play. Next, David Umahi. Engineer David Umahi is the governor of Ebonyi State in the southeast part of the country. Last month, the outspoken politician dumped the opposition People's Democratic Party for the ruling All Progressive Congress APC in a move that has become very controversial. According to President Muhammadu Buhari, Umahi took the very bold decision in accordance with his conscience and principles rather than any external influence or coercion. But his erstwhile allies in the PDP feel he left the party for selfish reasons. The numerous controversies generated the Umahi's decision to surrender Ebonyi State, a stronghold of PDP since 1999, to the APC, as well as his vociferousness in defense of his action, coupled with the energy with which those who disagreed with him have been attacking him, have all combined to make the Ebonyi governor one of the leading political newsmakers of the outgoing year. And from the look of things, neither Umahi nor the controversy he stirred with his defection is about to fade away just yet. Next, Rotimi Akeredolu. Rotimi Akeredolu, a senior advocate of Nigeria SAN, is the two-term governor of Ondo State. This year, he was in the news for both the good and the bad reasons. His quest to get a second term in spite of the much opposition against him put him up against many notable politicians and groups within and outside his party, the APC. At first, he created a lot of tension with what many people had described as his intolerance for any form of opposition, especially within the ruling party. But his last-minute vote-face that saw him extending olive branches to many of his antagonists within the APC won him admiration and contributed immensely to his huge victory at the gubernatorial election. The unending fight between him and his deputy, Agbola Ajayi, also made still making news. His role in the conception and formation of the Amotekun Security Corps across southwest states also kept him in the news. In all, Akeredolu made news in the outgoing year, crowning it all with a resounding defeat he handed Ayodele of the PDP in the much talked about governorship election last October. His victory proved many pundits wrong, just as his ability to turn around and make peace with numerous opponents within the APC shortly before the primary elections did. Next, Babagana Zulum. Professor Babagana Zulum, governor of the embattled Borno State, is one politician who was not given much choice but to be in the news all through the year 2020. While he kept enjoying rave reviews as a performing governor in the opinion of many analysts, have been working hard to turn the fortunes of his people around. Incessant attacks on his convoy by terrorists during the year made him a much talked about politician. During the year, Zulum became the voice of the troubled people of the Northeast as he constantly complained about the manner in which the war against insurgents was being waged. He also raised his voice against what he described as extortion and profiteering by the security operatives in the area. This made him unpopular with the military, but he stood his ground. His bravery at visiting the war zones to give support to the people and also to commiserate with victims and their families remained a talking point all through the year. At a point, he had a brawl with the military, which accused him of visiting the front without clearance, but the governor insists his people need his attention at all times if they are to be convinced he hasn't abandoned them. He has been nominated as Governor of the Year by a number of organizations in recognition of his feats during the outgoing year. Next, Mai Mala Buni. Mai Mala Buni emerged the chairman of APC Caretaker Committee after the dramatic removal of Adams Oshiomhole. Because of the intrigues that led to Oshiomhole's exit, there was concern whether Buni-led committee would be able to reunite the ruling party. As was expected, he promised to carry all the aggrieved members of the party along when he said, as two-time former national secretary of this party, I know the party very well and I want to assure every APC member will do justice because we have a government and a team player. If we don't manage crisis, crisis will manage you. Without justice, there will be no peace. I promise justice for every APC members. Observers had wondered if the Caretaker and Extraordinary National Convention Planning Committee can satisfactorily complete its assignment within its first tenure. This has helped to keep Buni and his committee in the news. With this month's extension of the committee's tenure by 6 months, after all the controversies, it is certain that Buni will remain in the news in the next coming year. Uche Secondus. Uche Secondus, the national chairman of the People's Democratic Party, PDP, has made a standing effort to save the party, which lost power in 2015. But in 2020, his dream of averting another major crisis in the party seems threatened as the issue of zoning of the presidential ticket ahead of the 2023 election seems to tear the party apart. Commenting on his knotty issue recently, Secondus told newsmen we can't be talking about zoning when we have not appraised how we fared in the last election. Ironically, his dodgy comment was openly attacked by one of the most outspoken PDP state governors, Nyesom Wike. The Rivers State Governor, Wike, lamented that the chances of PDP reclaiming the presidency in 2023 are being threatened under the National Working Committee Secondus leads. The face-off has further kept the two good politicians in the news. Next, Wike. Because of the many controversies he is usually associated with, Governor Wike is one of the most reported politicians in the year 2020. During the year, he had encountered what put him in the news. One of it was the investigation of the Niger Delta Development Commission when the police invaded the Port Harcourt residence of its former acting managing director, Joy Nune. Wike, who prevented the police from taking Nune away, reacted angrily and asked the Inspector General of Police, Mohammed Adamu, to probe the invasion of the former NDDC boss. On political, governance, other sundry issues, Wike has taken on and brutally criticized so many people, including his party's National Working Committee, a development that has helped to keep him in the news both positively and negatively. Next, Ayodele Fayose Mr. Ayodele Fayose, a former governor of Ekiti State, is one of the most outspoken and controversial People's Democratic Party politicians. Because of his doggedness and alleged political ambition at the national level, Fayose is seen by many as the PDP leader in the southwest. But this is the major source of friction between him and Mr. Seyi Makinde, the current governor of Ekiti State. Because of the increasing influence of the current Ekiti State governor in politics of other state chapters within the southwest, some Fayose's supporters have expressed concern over what they see as unnecessary leadership crisis in the southwest APC. Recently, Fayose said that Makinde, though the only PDP governor in the southwest, should allow every state to be governed by its local leaders. He warned that he's ready to fight anyone that wants to take over PDP structure in Ekiti State from him. Because of the clashes between the two leaders over the leadership of the PDP in Ekiti and the entire southwest, and his high-stake political moves at the national level ahead of the 2023, Fayose remained quite visible in the news all through 2020. Next, Seyi Makinde. As the only PDP governor in the southwest, Mr. Seyi Makinde, the Ekiti State governor, has many reasons to be in the news all through 2020. Besides being the natural southwest zonal leader of the PDP, a responsibility that enabled him to exercise influence in all states in the zone, his battle with former Governor Ayodele Fayose for the political soul of Ekiti State and Southwest PDP helped to put him in the news all through 2020. Wow, quite interesting to note all of this. Guys, thank you once again for staying tuned. Please don't forget to like, share, and to subscribe. Till I come your way again with more updates. Bye for now, and God bless.